So the Eagles lead the league in Pro Bowl voting this year, but did they actually get disrespected? Also, the Eagles name a starting quarterback for Saturday evening. Will the Birds be able to pull off the W against the Cowboys? We'll break down all that and more on today's show. What is going on, everyone? RB here. Welcome into A to Z Philly, your number one home for Eagles coverage. Be sure to hit the like button on this video to push it out to more Eagles fans. Subscribe by hitting the red button down below and hit that bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming Eagles coverage. Today we are back, and the Pro Bowl rosters were announced last night. A lot of mixed emotions from Eagles fans because although they had 8, which led more than anybody else, the Cowboys and Chiefs both had 7. Fans think that there were some snubs and that there was some disrespect, and I have to say, I agree. But let's take a look at the list to start us off. So Dave Zangaro puts it out here on Twitter. Eagles have 8 Pro Bowlers this season. Jalen Hurts, Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders, Landon Dickerson, Hassan Reddick, and Darius Slay. Okay, 4 first-time Pro Bowlers and very solid list. I think all of these guys have played exceptional ball this year, and I think they all deserve to be here. And Dave follows up on Twitter with the Eagles alternate list. Yes, Eagles, 9 Pro Bowl alternates: Rick Lovato, Isaac Seumalo, Javon Hargrave, James Bradbury, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Mailata, Josh Sweat, Devontae Smith. Okay, so 17 total, 9 alternates, 8 Pro Bowl starters and players on the roster. What do you think about this? Did the Eagles get snubbed, and who else should be on that list? Also, we didn't even mention yet, Dallas Goedert and CJ Gardner-Johnson aren't on the alternate list. And according to Elliott Shore-Parks on Twitter, here's the explanation, because people have been losing their minds all day as this is a trending topic. So Elliott Shore-Parks puts out here and he says, Dallas Goedert and CJ Gardner-Johnson should have made the Pro Bowl. A weird NFL rule took them off the ballot while they were on injured reserve. Silly rule that needs to be changed. And it's very interesting because TJ Watt was on IR. He was out for like 7 weeks, and he ends up making the Pro Bowl with 4 sacks? I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes I guess it's all about the name, right? And the name brand and the player more than the actual play. And yeah, it's just interesting. Like, how does CJ Gardner-Johnson, who leads the league in interceptions, not make the Pro Bowl? I don't care if he's on IR. That is just ridiculous. Why is his name not on the ballot? Even Eddie Jackson from the Bears was complaining that his name was taken off the list. So I just don't understand. Also, Ruben Frank puts out that Howie Roseman has now drafted at least 1 Pro Bowler in 9 of his 11 drafts as the leader, making the selections and all, not including 2022. Look at all these guys, man, that the Eagles have built from within in each draft that have now made the Pro Bowl. 4 first-time Pro Bowlers. I'm excited about this list, but let's go back here to the alternate list just real quick. I'm still frustrated. Even though we have 8 Pro Bowlers, if I'm being completely honest, it feels like the Eagles should have about 13 to 15 Pro Bowlers, and I get it. Not everybody's going to make it, okay? I understand. I wouldn't put everybody on this list on the actual roster, but let's talk about the few that absolutely should be there. Javon Hargrave. Javon Hargrave has 10 sacks. How do you have 10 sacks and not make the Pro Bowl? That is an absolute snub. He's been snubbed in the past. It just doesn't make any sense. The next guy, James Bradbury. I get it. Maybe they don't want to put 2 corners from the same team. Well, I don't care. The Eagles have the number 1 defense in the league. Darius Slay, James Bradbury have both been an insane tandem. They have just been locked down all year long. There's absolutely no way James Bradbury should not be on the Pro Bowl roster. And, you could talk about Rick Lovato, who's been there before. He's probably the most consistent long snapper in the league. Josh Sweat is nearing 10 sacks. He should probably be on the roster. And CJ Gardner-Johnson is a must. He should absolutely be on there. I cannot believe his name was not on the ballot due to that rule. It's just silly. It is silly, like Elliott Shore-Parks said. And Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert was having a Pro Bowl season before getting injured. So you could argue that as well. It's crazy that the Eagles' entire offensive line and defensive line is essentially split between the Pro Bowl roster and the alternate roster. That is how good the Eagles have been in the trenches. But give me your thoughts. Who do you think should be on the list? Let me know down below. The main news of today, though, however, is this game that we have here in a couple days. And at one point, a lot of people thought that, okay, this was going to be a great build-up, a great matchup, a potential NFC championship matchup between a division rival. And now, after the Cowboys lost to the Jags and now Jalen Hurts is injured, it doesn't really seem that way. But it still should be very intriguing because today, Nick Sirianni announces that Gardner Minshew will get the nod against the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. And once again, I will repeat, if Gardner Minshew finds a way to take down the Cowboys in Dallas on Christmas Eve and spoil their Christmas, this guy is a savior forever in the city of Philadelphia. Could you imagine Gardner Minshew going into Dallas and upsetting them? And the Eagles clinch the #1 seed with a backup quarterback and can rest for the rest of the year. That would be absolutely amazing. I hope it happens. I really, really, really do. Just to see the faces of the Cowboy fans. And more on this decision, Nick Sirianni says that he told Jalen Hurts that he's going to be sidelined. Quote, he's disappointed because he wants to play, but we have to do what's best as an organization to put us in a safe spot because he will play through anything. Those are hard conversations we have to have sometimes. And it's crazy because Jalen Hurts is such a competitor, man. He wants to be out there. He wants to be the clincher. He's heard all the noise. He has been a part of a historic season. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. It has been the best season ever by an Eagles quarterback. Look up the stats. It has been the best season ever by an Eagles quarterback, and he is on this journey. And I'm just really proud of the kid in general. But he's a dog, man. He's a competitor. He wants to be out there. He wants to be with his team. He doesn't want to let up, but I completely understand the decision from Nick Sirianni wanting to rest him. Like I said, I would rest this weekend, see what happens, and if we lose, then bring him back against the Saints. More rest time, more time to heal, come back, help our own draft pick by beating the Saints and clinch the #1 seed, and then rest him for the next 2 weeks and get him back in the divisional round. That would be my plan of attack, but we will see how it plays out. But Gardner Minshew, man, it is your time to shine. This is what you're here for. Okay? Gardner Minshew has actually played some pretty good games before in the NFL. He's not just a scrub. He will get the start, and Nick Sirianni is obviously believing in Gardner Minshew. Now, I did say Jalen Hurts is the toughest, son of a gun he's ever been around. And again, Jalen wanted to be out there, but these guys trust in Gardner, man. This guy slept in a prison bus in the offseason. He is tough as nails. All right, he's been through a lot, and he's here ready to go out here and try to win a game against the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't think it's so crazy that he can keep us competitive in this game. Now, here's Gardner Minshew's last 2 games as a starter. Last year against Dallas on the last week of the season, I was at that game. All the backups were in for both teams, so it really didn't matter. Now, the Cowboys kept their guys in to try to get a rhythm, but for most of the game, it was just a backup frenzy. So I'm not really going to focus in on that game, but a game that did count when Jalen Hurts was injured against the New York Jets, Minshew led us to a win, 33-18. Minshew led the Eagles to a W, 20 for 25, 242 yards, 80 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 133.7 quarterback rating. Once again, Gardner Minshew can be put into this team because we are so well-rounded, and that's not a comment to the whole system thing. The Eagles are just such a dominant football team that any quarterback that can come in and make some throws has a chance. I'm not saying Gardner Minshew is going to run the field like Jalen Hurts or, be a threat to move it on the ground as well, but Gardner Minshew just needs to find some of these weapons. All of them are just dangerous to a Dallas defense that has looked suspect. And what did the Eagles do in that Jets game last year? Bada boom, bada bing. There it is right here. 185 rushing yards, 41 carries. That is the key to winning this game. You have Miles Sanders, who is now a Pro Bowler for the first time, 1,000-yard rusher. You have Kenny Gainwell. You have Boston Scott. Come out here, establish the run, and I don't know if the Cowboys are going to be able to stop it. That is how you win the game. That is how you make your quarterback comfortable, and that is how you get things going. Right now, the Cowboys sit at number 13 in the league in terms of rushing defense. Their defense has looked suspect. They blew a 17-point lead last week to the Jags. Oh, and by the way, they gave up 192 yards on the ground to the Jags. And the week before that, when they almost lost to the one-win Texans, they gave up 114 yards on the ground. The Cowboys' defense is starting to look fraudulent. The Eagles need to keep Dallas's high-powered offense off the field, and they need to go out here and just make it more comfortable for Gardner Minshew. If we lose this game, nobody is sweating. There's no pressure on the Eagles to win this game. Now, obviously, you want to win the next week, but there's no pressure on this game, which is actually why I think all the spotlight will be on Dallas, and I think the Eagles can actually stay in this game. Gardner Minshew needs to come out, play his game, and not get too wild. Don't turn the ball over. Rely on your running backs to set you up, and you'll have to make some plays in the red zone. But I just think the Eagles, especially with our defense and how locked in they are right now, can come out here and battle. I think they can battle, and I think that they will. Overall, this is setting up to be a real exciting game for Gardner Minshew. Like I said, not the hype that there once was, but if the Eagles find a way to pull this off, if they find a way, if Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen and the boys draw up a game plan to come out here and beat Dallas in Dallas on Christmas Eve with Gardner Minshew, you will never hear the end of it from Eagles fans. So I can't wait to see what happens. At least make it competitive, and we will see how the rest plays out. Those are just all my thoughts. Give me all yours down below in the comments section. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And like always, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.